Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna head over to our front page here, and then we're gonna go down to, sorry, that's the advanced projects. Let me go back to the regular projects. We're gonna go down to the networking with Python section right here. And I'm gonna go ahead and we're gonna start off with port scanning. So that's gonna be our first project that we're gonna work on this morning. So you should be all set up from yesterday. If you weren't able to get that going and you weren't able to get your Python up, let one of us know and we'll help you get that installed and configured properly so you can join along if you'd like. Again, all of these videos are going to be available for you later. So if you don't want to follow along right now, that's fine. We can go back over it again later, or feel free to ask one of us for help. So this is pretty fun. I like these projects a lot. The first one we're going to do here is do a little bit of networking with Python. So go ahead and open up a text editor, whatever one you like. We don't judge here. Your personal preference is cool with us. So sorry, that's an old one. So we'll go ahead and open a new one up here. And we're just going to grab this code right here that Sam has so helpfully provided us with to start, and go ahead and stick that in a fresh text editor. Okay, so what we're gonna do now is we're gonna save this file and we're gonna name it. So I'm gonna go ahead and save that. I have a few different ones, so I'm gonna call mine, you can call it whatever you like. And now we're going to execute it. But before I do that, let's step through what's going on here in this code real quick. So Sam has put in a little key for us, but I just want to walk through it with you real quick. The first thing that we're going to do right here on the first line is import our socket library. And you know, when you're writing a Python script, all your dependencies typically go up here at the top for whatever modules or packages that you'd like to use. Second, we're going to create a socket object that we're naming under the variable S. And then we're gonna go ahead and connect to Sam's server on port 22. And then we're going to take the data that we received back from his server and print it out on our console. So let's go ahead, and then of course, last but not least, we are going to close that socket so it doesn't just stay open. If you recall yesterday, if we don't do that, it's just going to keep that socket open and it's going to gum up the server because you can only make a limited number of, you can only have a limited number of open sockets at the same time. So let's go ahead and try running it. Actually, let me make this a little bigger just so it's easier for you folks to see, because I think it's a little small right now. Can everybody see that okay? Okay. Okay, so this worked as intended. As you can see, it returned the banner just like we wanted it to. And you can see there that it shows what version his server's running and everything. So let's go ahead and break our script right now. Let's do that so that we can play around with this a little bit. Okay, so let's, instead of going to ad.samsclass.info, let's change that domain URL. Let's change that to nowhere.samsclass.info right there. And we're going to save our script again. And let's go ahead and run that again and see what happens. So as you see, we run it this time and we get a big, ugly, hideous error, which is good. That's what we wanted. And again, if we go in there and we actually read our error message, we'll see that it's telling us that node name nor server name provided or not known. So we know that we provided it here because we put in nowhere.samsclass.info. So it's going to be the last of these options that it's not known. Okay, so moving back to the instructions here, let's go ahead and take this and make another Python script. Let's take what we've got, move it to a new script, and then edit that. So I'm gonna go ahead and copy this code right here, put it in a new file right here, and let's modify it a little bit. Just take Sam's helpful code here. So let's go ahead and save that. And let's run it and see what happens. Oh, what do you know? We got it again. So hopefully we know now that we're hitting the wrong server. But if you'll notice, if you looked at the first error message we got, it was a lot longer and more verbose and big and ugly and a bunch of stuff we don't need in there. If you look at the second error message we got, it was much tidier. Now, I wonder why. Let's go back and look at our code. So I'm gonna put these up side by side so we can just compare them. So these are the two scripts that we're working on. So do we see some differences here in between these scripts? Hopefully we do. So if you've noticed, we have added in an extra little bit here that will give us just that software instead of the entire output that comes back if we have an error. You know, if we try and it's successful, we won't see this error come up. But, you know, if we've connected to if we've entered a bad address or we can't connect to the server, we'll get that neat and tidy error message when it handles our errors for us. And please, again, just to reiterate, please make sure that you ask us to clarify, ask me to go back over anything. If something doesn't make sense, please ask me again and I'll re-explain it. So, you know, as Sam put in here in the instructions, real programmers spend most of their time carefully handling every possible error. It's absolutely true. It's made me sort of a crazy person in my real life because I'm always thinking about whatever possible edge case there might be. And ways that we can anticipate that and make sure we handle that behavior in our code. However, we're just nasty red teamers who want to break stuff, so we'll skip that. And it's a lot more fun this way, just to keep going and make our utility tools as we need them and keep hacking things. So let's go ahead and take that file that we just created and make a new one. And we're gonna make some changes to it. You can keep the same one and just keep editing it, or you can make new ones. It's up to you. But it's kind of nice to make new ones typically when we're making real actual software for commercial use. We're using what's called version control, and you are committing each one of your changes to GitHub or whatever repository your organization uses. And then you're able to go back and see a log of every change that's been made to the code, and you can revert to previous versions that you've done and so on and so forth. So we're just kind of doing the very primitive way of doing that just by making new files here and modifying each one so we can go back and look at the previous ones. So we're going to go ahead and take this, but this time what we're going to do is we're going to modify our port number. And even though the instructions don't mention this, we're also going to modify our domain to go back to the one that we know will work, which is ad.samsclass.info. Go ahead and save that. Let's try running it again. Ah, okay, so we run it and we sit here and we wait and we wait. We take a sip of our coffee. And we're still waiting and nothing's happening. So what's going on here? First off, let's stop that script because it doesn't seem to be working. So I'm going to press Control and C at the same time. As you can see, it even showed that character in the terminal here, and it stopped. And it says keyboard interrupt, which is what I did. I stopped that script so it wouldn't just be continuously running. So as we can see here in the explanation, it's connected to the server because we didn't, if we look again at the terminal output, we didn't get an error message, which we put into our code. So we didn't get an error message. It connected, but we didn't get anything. Just sits there waiting to hear more for us. So what can we do here? First off, we don't want to have to press Control C every time. And we don't, we're going to add a new method to our script. So let's go ahead and modify our code to add a set timeout function to it. So we're going to go here right under our socket variable, and we're going to go S for socket dot set timeout. And then we're going to enter in a value of 2 seconds here. Let's go ahead and save that. Let's run it again and see what happens. Okay, good. See, this time it timed out for us. It didn't just hang there and wait and make us Control C out of that script. So good, it's working as we want it to. All right, so let's try doing some more stuff to our script. So how about we take in some values from our user and see what happens. Let's go ahead and copy our script over to a new file and modify it. I'm going to go ahead and save that while we're at it. And let's go ahead and add in our, port request for the user. So we're going to make a new variable here, int, which is going to stand for integer because we're going to be entering a number. Now, everything that you see in quotation marks here is going to end up being what the user sees in the console. So let's go ahead and try running that. Oh, it works as intended. So now the script is asking us, the user, to enter port number inside the terminal window. Let's go ahead and do that. Let's enter port 22 if you want to connect to SSH again. So we enter the number, press enter, times out again. We're gonna have to do something about that. We want it to work, right? Let's see what happens. Let's go back and look at our code. So we look at our code. Make sure that we got everything right here, as we do. Let's look at our code again. Let's take out our try catch. Let's see how that goes. And as you will recall, indentation matters in Python. This up here, this up here. Oh yeah, we wanted to time out. Okay, so just gonna run it again just to make sure. I didn't really edit anything of substance there. Try entering port 80, should time out again. Which it did. I just took the error handling out of it. Okay, so let's go ahead and work on our first one here. So first thing we're gonna try to do is find a service that's running on a specific port number. So we know that it's going to be on a port that ends in 3 zeros. So how could we find this? We're going to have to hunt for it. So let's try modifying our script some more. Text editor windows everywhere. One moment. Do you want to stop the video now, actually, Sam? And then we'll start a video when I